What's going on, guys? Jonathan Burr here with another edition of Road to the Platform. I fielded a few questions about the added use of different gear in the training, wrist wraps, knee wraps, belts, a ram, slingshot, things like that. So the next few videos I'll try to get out over the next week or so will be about different use and how I use them, how I wrap, things like that. This video we're going to focus on a wrist wrap and a belt. I personally use a 36-inch wrist wrap for any bench movement, just because I have really bad wrists from previous football stuff when I thought I was an athlete, and they just took a pounding over the years. So anything that I get fairly heavy in, I try to use a 36-inch wrap. Most of the time, just your casual workout stuff, I'll use a shorter 18 or 24-inch wrap. Anyway, this is a 36-inch wrap. It's a wrist wrap from Anderson Powerlifting. It is the KLA 3000s. To me, best wrap I've ever used, bar none. And I've used them all. I'm a gear whore to the extreme, these days. So I've used just about every knee wrap I could come up with, or wrist wrap. And, these are the ones that personally have fit me the best. Very cast-like, very stiff. Basically, this is how I wrap my wrist. You take your thumb loop and you drop it over. And I like to go straight across the wrist, the initial one. And take your hand, you hold the base of it so that we're in good position, and pump back across. And I like to kind of come down at an angle, if you can see here, to make a cross section. When I come back around, I come over the top of the wrist. You notice I'm pulling tight each time through. And so now I have a small X there. And then to close it off, I center them both off, and we Velcro it. And that leaves the wrist into a cast-like space. Now you have to pull the thumb loop off for any competition, so it has to be tucked in. So you just tuck that in away. And now that wrist, it's not going anywhere even if you wanted to. So this will really allow you to set that bar deep into your hand when you're benching. And why is that important? Because it puts it into the correct leverage. A bar, you have a lot more leverage on the bar here as opposed to if the bar's way back in the palm, you don't have the same leverage. As far as a belt goes, I use a 10 millimeter belt. They make them in 13 millimeter, which to me was just a little too much, just restricting my movement just too much. So squats, I use a 10 millimeter belt. On benchings, I use just a simple bench belt, and that's just to hold my shirt in place. But anyway, here's the 10 millimeter belt. I've had this belt for as long as I've been training, so 10 years plus. Still holding up strong. And it's a single prong belt. What's a single prong mean? It's just one prong. They also make them with two. They also make them with a clasp. The reason why I prefer single prong is because to me you can get more torque. You can tighten it a lot more. A lot of times I'll use the rack as a focal point and lean back into it so that it'll close across the stomach. Some people prefer the clasp, and some people prefer the two-prong. The reason why I don't like the two-prong is because, you're fighting to get that bottom one into a hole. It's just more difficult, more time-consuming, and, in all honesty, you don't want to be out of breath when you get to the bar for a squat, because it's not going to be a good situation. But anyway, this is just a short introductory on gear and wrapping. Hope you like it. If you like the wrist wraps, check out AndersonPowerlifting.com. He's got 3 different versions. The 3Ks are my favorite. The 2Ks are a little less stiff, a lot more rebounding. So check them out. Till then, keep training.